Now, what has Project 2025 got to do with the return of Trump? What is it? That document, what does it entail? We've looked at the launch of it. They want to deconstruct the whole American system. Why? Because the United States of America right now is being run by which people? The radical left, the leftist, the secular branch. And so the golden era of American conservatism will soon emerge, says Heritage President. Now, who happens to be the head of this Project 2025? The Heritage Foundation happens to be leading or organizing and fueling and championing this whole Project 2025. And this is what the president has said. The golden era of American conservatism will soon emerge, says Heritage President Kevin Roberts. So what is going on right now in America? Since the country is being run by secular, radical leftists with their philosophies and ideals, the conservative, the religious conservatives feel that the nation is being destroyed. And therefore, they have to return and save the nation. So, we are seeing a huge battle. The radical left, who are also called the liberals or the secularists, versus the conservative right, who are also the republicans or the rightists. So this is the conflict that is ensuing in America at the moment. And so, when we talk about the radical left, led by Joe Biden, what are some of the policies that they are enforcing and they are championing? One, it is called the woke culture. I know we are not very familiar with it. Now, what is the woke culture? The woke culture has got to do with do what thou wilt. In other words, let's allow anybody to do whatever he or she prefers. So, the radical left, they endorse abortion rights. The radical left, they endorse the LGBTQ thing. In other words, the radical left are anti-God. They are the globalists. They are the universalists. They are pushing the immigration agenda that is creating whole chaos in America and every other place. That is the mindset, that is the philosophy, that is the viewpoint of the leftist or the radical left. And our question we are asking, so what problem is it posing to the world? Ladies and gentlemen, the conservative right feel that the nation America, which was founded upon Christian principles, so they claim, is being destroyed by the radical leftists. How can a whole White House be celebrating Pride Month? LGBTQ. How can their children be exposed to these kinds of teachings? So there is this feeling among the conservatives that these radical leftists have deviated from the very principles that laid the foundation of America. That is the argument, and therefore they need to return and save the nation. Did you get the point? That is what they intend to do. That is what they intend to achieve. And so that has laid the foundation for the launch of the Project 2025 to deconstruct, in other words, to Christianize America, to send America back to its roots. And why is it so important that we talk about it? Because the reason is very simple. As we just heard, Trump believes that the Christian voice is to be heard aloud. In other words, the country must be governed by Christian principles. And that is why he said, we must bring our religion back. Religion. We must bring our Christianity back. So secularism must give way, or it must make way for religion to take over. And what does that mean? What has it got to do with prophecy? It is exactly as prophecy has foretold. Because originally, the foundation of America was a strict separation of church and state. But what Trump is saying is that the church will now control the state. That is a unity of church and state. And that is precisely what Bible prophecy has talked about. Now, so we continue. Let's see what Donald Trump, he released just a new advert and how they intend to take over America in his new advert.
More than a country, more than a shining city on a hill. The idea of America lives in each and every one of us. America lives. But a storm has gathered at our shores. A tempest that seeks to tear apart the fabric of our nation. It seeks nothing less than the wanton destruction of this great nation of men and women. It seeks to rip out, erase, and supplant the very foundations of practicality and reason. It seeks to erase us. We know this enemy. They have existed throughout time, and now they have come for us. And they have come for our children. We watch the clouds coalesce and gather. We watched them form for decades from a distance as they approached our borders. We heard the clap of thunder echo in our minds and rattle down through the halls of our capitals. We have, most of us, become complacent, unaware, and disengaged while the darkness grew and unfolded around us. Slowly, then all at once. This threat is real. What we face is a hurricane of deceit and moral decay with the goal of absolute power. We face a true battle of good versus evil. If we stand by and do nothing, evil will triumph. But that is not our fate. We are great men. We are great men with a great leader. A leader that loves this nation and what it has given back to him. A leader who seeks the same ideals as we do. Ideals of truth, liberty, and justice. He sees the greatness in us and the great potential in America and its future. He seeks to make America great again. This man will guide us, but he cannot do it alone. It takes every one of us alongside him. It takes work, it takes faith, and it takes resolve. Together we can fight this storm. We can fight and we will win. Unite now. Gather alongside him. Come together for this nation. Bear the colors of red, white, and blue that are woven into the fiber of this nation, saturated with the blood of patriots that came before us. Sacrifice your time. Sacrifice your effort to rebuild this nation together. Together we can save America. The America that lives in all of us. Trump 2024.
And so, one prominent journalist called Nigel Farage believes that we are going to experience what we call a pendulum swing. So it is now with the far left radicals. So the pendulum will swing to the right, to the Republicans, the religious sect of the of American politics, the Christian nationalists, as I talked about in the Asbury Revival Part 1 and 2. And so let's hear what he also has to say about it. And so, currently, there's something going on. So we see a battle of mindset of two philosophies, secularism and conservatism, or if you like, religiosity. And so currently there is this banter, this war between Texas and the federal government and the country at large over this immigration policy. Now you might think that it is just a normal conflict. No, It is based on principles. It is based on philosophy. It is based on mindset. Because Texas governor is a Republican, but who believes in nationalism, and that's as Trump has been trumpeting, make America great again, MAGA. So the Republicans want to reinstate America to its prominence, but then the leftists, the radicals, want a globalist point of view, mine's a globalist system. That is why they have allowed the influx of immigrants into America, and then it has raised eyebrows and anger between the Democrats and the Republicans. And that is what is fueling the Texas immigration conflict in Broha. Let's watch it.
Mr. President, you say you want to secure the border. Texas has secured it. Leave it alone. We don't need you down here.
Governor Greg Abbott said in an interview Friday that Texas is prepared for any conflict between state and federal authorities.
There are signs the Biden administration may be backing down from a standoff between the state of Texas and the feds at the southern border.
Texas officials say they will not comply with a deadline tonight to allow Border Patrol access to Shelby Park in Eagle Pass. And Border Patrol agents say for now there are no plans to remove razor wire, even though a court ruling allows agents to do so. Meanwhile, more Republican states say they will send National Guard resources to the border.
Along the border in Eagle Pass, it appears Texas is in charge, and some want it to stay that way.
Mr. President, you say you want to secure the border. Texas has secured it. Leave it alone. We don't need you down here.
A Friday deadline that the federal government set for the state to let federal agents access a park in Eagle Pass will apparently pass with no changes. The state took control of the high crossing area earlier this month, even though the feds said they needed it to do their job. A court ruling Monday also paved the way for the feds to take down razor wire, but Texas has since added more. It prompted some calls for the federal government to take over the Texas Guard.
And I would remind everyone that the circumstances under which the federal government can mobilize a state's National Guard are outlined in the law, right? So that I'll leave that there, but I'm just not going to get into speculations on any actions the president's going to take at this time.
Governor Greg Abbott said in an interview Friday that Texas is prepared for any conflict between state and federal authorities.
All we can do is be as prepared as possible, deploy as many people as possible, do as much as possible to put up more border barriers and deny illegal entry. And our head is down. We're working hard, regardless of what the Biden administration is doing.
Meanwhile, more Republicans appear to be souring on a congressional border security deal. Speaker Mike Johnson told colleagues Friday leaked details about the plan lead him to believe the plan would be dead on arrival in the House. It comes after former President Donald Trump said a border deal now would be a gift to Democrats. Immigration is a top issue for voters, but some Republicans still want to see action sooner.
I think they should try to get something done. That's my personal opinion. But regardless of whether they do or not, there's actions that the president can take right now to help the governor instead of working against him.
Well, look, I mean, the Supreme Court is the highest, law, court of the land. It is. And they made a ruling. And, on Tuesday, as you guys probably saw, DHS sent Texas a letter outlining the access Border Patrol needs in Shelby Park, for example, to do their jobs, and demanding Texas confirm this access will be honored. Border Patrol needs to have access in order to do their job. They just do. And, what we're seeing from Governor Abbott, you've heard me say this over and over again, they're making it harder. He's making it harder for Border Patrol to do their jobs. They need access. And right now, they don't have that. And it's under the Constitution of the United States that federal law is the supreme law of the land. And any conflicting state is preempted. That's the law.
So you think they're failing to comply with the court's orders?
I mean, it's the law. It is literally the law. I mean, it is the law. And what we want is Border Patrol to be able to do their jobs. And right now, Governor Abbott is getting in the way. And you see it, DHS sent a letter on this. I would refer you to what they wrote.
Is DHS still trying to work with the Texas National Guard?
Look, DHS wants the Border Patrol agents to have access. They want them to be able to do their jobs so that they can follow the law when Border Patrol is trying to have access to that area, they actually are trying to enforce the law. That's what they're trying to do. And Governor Abbott is getting in the way of that. And so they're trying to do their job, enforce the law, make sure that they are able to do what they are meant to be doing as Border Patrol agents.
They're communicating with the Texas National Guard.
I mean, honestly, I would refer you to the DHS on communication. I'm not tracking every communication that they're having. What I'm saying more broadly, which is true, which is Border Patrol needs to be able to do their job, and they're getting in the way of that.
And just a quick one on the border talks. We understand, we and others have reported that the White House has said that they would accept limiting parole at the border as a condition in the Senate border talks. Can you confirm?
I cannot confirm that from here. I'm going to let the negotiators have their process, go through their process. We think it's happening in good faith. We think there's been progress, and we want to see a bipartisan agreement here.
Thank you, John. Why are you guys making it easier for people to enter the country illegally?
I don't believe we are. Why do you think we are?
Well, you guys sued to cut razor wire that was put in place by Texas officials.
So that the Border Patrol could actually do their jobs, but keep going.
Well, you won in court, so now what? The Border Patrol Union president is saying the Supreme Court's decision is going to undoubtedly encourage more illegal immigration. Do you guys know better than the Border Patrol Union?
The Border Patrol needed access, and that's why we sued to get rid of that razor wire, so that they could do their jobs. And you know what would also help them do their jobs, Peter? More Border Patrol agents. There's an idea. And if you go back to the supplemental request that we put in, there's money in there for some 1,300 additional Border Patrol agents. We want to help them do their jobs. We want to give them more resources. And the answer we keep getting back from House Republicans is no, no, no.
Does razor wire work?
Does razor wire work for what? Does it work for the Border Patrol to allow them to have the access they need to be able to better process people that are trying to get across the border? I don't think so, and that's why we asked for it to be removed.
But what is the president's plan? This is happening just weeks after 300,000 people came into this country over the southern border illegally. The razor wire, officials down there think, was keeping some of them out. And you guys just sued and won to remove it.
On behalf of the Border Patrol, who needed to have better access to it. Look, let me go back to your other question. And I know I'm running short on time, so I won't filibuster here, but what's the plan? Please look at the stuff we've put forward. The immigration reform legislation that the president put forward on day one. The work we're doing in the region. Just last week we had Mexican officials here to talk about how together we have and will continue to try to stem the flow of migrants. You mentioned the numbers. No question there's a lot of people trying to make that journey, but it's not just to the United States, it's to other countries in the world, in the region. We're seeing historic movement. Not since World War II have we seen this many people on the move in this hemisphere. And the Mexicans are really stepping up and trying to do more on their southern border to keep that flow going north lower. And we have seen in recent weeks some success at that. The idea that we don't have a plan or a strategy or we're not taking this seriously is just not borne out by the facts. And, again, if the folks on the House Republican side are serious about border security, and they claim they are, then they should act on the supplemental request and, let's negotiate this in good faith. The president has said he's willing to make compromises. He's willing to negotiate in good faith. So let's have that discussion.
The tensions led the Border Patrol Union to issue a statement Friday, saying in part, rank-and-file Border Patrol agents are not going to start arresting Texas National Guard members for following their lawful orders. That's fake news.
Tensions between Texas and the Biden administration have reached a boiling point as the Lone Star State continues to defy an emergency injunction from the Supreme Court and block federal border agents into the state to cut razor wire it's been installing over the past few weeks. 25 other states have signed a letter pledging to support Texas as it installs razor wire on the southern border, with some sending members of their own state and National Guard to assist with the installation process. They wrote, "We stand in solidarity with our fellow Governor Greg Abbott and the state of Texas in utilizing every tool and strategy, including razor wire fences, to secure the border." We do it in part because the Biden administration is refusing to enforce immigration laws already on the books and is illegally allowing mass parole across America of migrants who entered our country illegally.
But it wasn't just Republicans who backed Abbott's decision to buck the feds. Presidential hopeful RFK Jr. wrote, "Texas is right. Biden's failure to secure the border leaves states no choice but to take matters into their own hands. As president, I will end this humanitarian crisis once and for all. I will secure the border and destroy the business model of the drug cartels. A country without borders is not a country at all."
And so, according to prophecy, the Protestant sect is to take over. In other words, religious mindset must leapfrog secular mindset. So if religious mindset is to leapfrog the secular mindset, where then are we heading towards? We are heading towards the fulfillment of prophecy. So in Great Controversy, page 443, paragraph 2 again, in order for the United States to form an image to the beast, the religious power, and that is the Christian nationalist movement, as Trump has promised to awaken it, the greatest revival that has ever occurred in America is soon to open in November 5. In order for the United States to form an image of the beast, the religious power must so control the civil government that the authority of the state will also be employed by the church to accomplish her own ends. In Great Controversy, page 445, 448, and 449, we are told, when the leading churches, you see, and where do we find the leading churches? On the side of the Democrats, or on the side of the Republicans, clearly on the side of the far right. So when the leading churches of the United States, uniting upon such points of doctrine, as are held by them in common, shall influence, and you see that influence, do you see the civil government, the to-be civil government, that is Trump, who has promised to revive the voice of the churches, shall influence the state to enforce their decrees. As they've said, they will Christianize the entire nation to enforce their decrees and to sustain their institutions. As they've said, the nation is being wrecked up and they need to put it back to its toes. So exactly as prophecy has foretold, shall influence the state to enforce their decrees and to sustain their institutions. Let's see. Then Protestant America will have formed an image of the Roman hierarchy, and the infliction of civil penalties upon dissenters will inevitably result. So, where do we find, as I said, where do we currently find the majority of Christians? Are they on the side of the radical left or on the side of conservative right? Is this shift to far right only happening in America? Now, that is very, very interesting question I'm asking. It is not currently only in America which is happening, but we are seeing also a shift from radical left to far right system, even in parts of Europe. Currently, not long ago in Portugal, not long ago even in America, in South America, in Argentina, and in Brazil, it is boiling up between the ex-president and the current president. Let's watch it to affirm that we are seeing a pendulum swing to the far right.
The message that the Biden administration is sending is pretty clear. This ideology runs America. It's the new state religion.
President Joe Biden is urging Americans to push back as Republican bills target the LGBTQIA+ community and transgender youth. The president spoke at a White House Pride event, stating the bills attack America's basic values and freedoms. Some Republican-led states ban teachers from discussing gender or sexuality to young students, and conservative lawmakers propose to pass laws restricting drag performances. President Biden showed his allegiance to the LGBTQIA+ community, reassuring them they belong.
We need to push back against the hundreds of callous and cynical bills and laws introduced in states targeting transgender children, terrifying families, and criminalizing doctors and nurses. These bills and laws attack the most basic values and freedoms we have as Americans. That's not hyperbole, that's a fact. The right to be yourself, the right to make your own health decisions, the right to raise your own children.
Americans see this and are offended by it, not because they oppose equal rights, not because they oppose, love who you love. It's because they see this flag and they see the destruction of women's sports and women's private spaces, the indoctrination of their children, the politicization of the medical community. This is where that flag leads to, and a lot of Americans see that and recognize that.
Pride Month is not a new thing. They've been celebrating Pride Month for many, many years, and most American conservatives had no issue with it until it became forceful, until it became the need for acknowledgement, the need for forced celebration, the need for forced validation. That's when you lost people. And then we took LGB and then we added LGBTQIA+++, and then we included men who dress up like women and mock women, like influencer Dylan Mulvaney. And then a lot of American conservatives just said, listen, we've had enough. It's okay if you're proud of your sexuality, but why do I have to be proud of your sexuality?
The visceral attack on LGBTQ people is at a high peak. The frequency is so high in terms of the conversations online, the organizing efforts we see from the hard right. And I think there's real reason to be attentive during Pride Month about the potential for violence, and also for people to come out in intense support for equality for our LGBTQ community members, because there really is, unfortunately, a target on that community right now.
Now in letter 123, 1897, paragraph 2, Protestants will work upon the rulers of the land to make laws to restore the lost ascendancy of the man of sin who sits in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Ladies and gentlemen, we are nearing the fulfillment of Bible prophecy. And Project 2025 has an interesting thing. It has the Sabbath rest agenda. Let me read a little to you. God ordained the Sabbath as a day of rest. And until very recently, the Judeo-Christian tradition sought to honor the mandate by moral and legal regulation of work on that day. Moreover, a shared day off makes it possible for families and communities to enjoy time off together rather than atomized individuals, and provides a healthier cadence of life for everyone. Unfortunately, that communal day of rest has eroded, you see. This is part of the document Project 2025. It has a Sabbath rest. So, Congress should encourage communal rest by amending the Fair Labor Standards Act, you see. Implementation of laws to require that workers be paid time and a half for hours worked on the Sabbath. That day will default to Sunday, except for employers with a sincere religious observance of a Sabbath at a different time. So, there will be conditions initially, but then it will be taken away. Example, Friday sundown to Saturday sundown, the obligation will transfer to that point instead. Houses of worship, the limited extent they may have FLSA covered employees, and employees legally required to operate around the clock will be exempt, as would workers otherwise exempt from overtime. So, if Project 2025 is anything to go by, And if what Donald Trump has been trumpeting is anything to go by, then we are seeing the fulfillment of prophecy in no time. And if that's the case, then I bid us to prepare, for Christ's soon advent is imminent. May God help us in Jesus' name. Amen.